Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I was made aware of the new commander-in-chief of the Ukraine army, which Oleksandr Syrskyi. I was made aware that he is Russian. And I was made aware by some friends who, thank you very much, sent me a lot of information via Facebook saying he's Russian. He's Russian. I was like, yeah, maybe, maybe not. Yes, he's Russian, or at least he has Russian parents. I said, okay, let me go to the lowest hanging fruit, which is the Wikipedia. He is 100% Russian. So what are the implications? And he's educated in Moscow. Well, in Soviet Union, that's true. But let's look at, I'm going to use the lowest hanging fruit. Okay, I'm not going to go deeper than that. I think it's enough. I don't even need more. Oleksandr Syrskyi, right here. He's the one. So, Stanislavovich, Oleksandr Stanislavovich Syrskyi, born on July 26, 1965, is a Ukrainian military officer, holding the rank of Colonel General, and he has served as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine since 8th of February 2024. Previously, he was okay, biography. Always interesting. I always look at the biography. You find a lot of interesting things over there. Syrskyi was born in the village of Novinki, Vladimir Oblast, Russian Soviet Federation, Russian Soviet Federation Socialist Republic. So he was born in Russia, then in the Soviet Union, into a military family of ethnic Russians. So he was born in a military family, a Russian military family in Russia. As of 2023, his parents and brother live in Russia. Thank you very much, guys. I didn't expect this. So here it is. In 1980, when Syrskyi was 15, his father was transferred to serve in the Soviet armed forces in Kharkiv, Ukrainian. That means I get you implanted in their fucking military structures. That's how it works. I'm going to tell you how it was in Romania. Syrskyi graduated from high school in Kharkiv, and entered the Moscow Higher Military Command School. Do you think there was nothing like this in Kiev? I bet it was, but not Moscow, because Moscow was preparing their cadres. Let me see, do we have it? All right. The Soviet Union leading higher military education institutions is leading, elite. After his graduation in 86, Syrskyi joined the Soviet Artillery Corps. He initially served in a self-propelled artillery unit equipped with the howitzers, including he served in fielding the Bibabab. He served in Afghanistan under the Soviet Union, Tajikistan, and Czechoslovakia until the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1999. So he was in Czechoslovakia as well. What does it tell you? Nothing. He's Ukrainian. Until 1991. After the dissolution of the USSR in 1993, Syrskyi military unit in Chernihiv was transferred under Ukrainian command. Was transferred, just, you're Ukrainian, okay? And he was quickly promoted to a position of regiment commander. Quickly. Why? We got our people in the right places. In 1996, he graduated from National Defense University of Ukraine. See? They had one. All right. And in 2005, he received a graduate degree from the same university. War in Donbass, we're not going to go over that. Now, military ranks, points. That smells to me very much Russian. Now, what could the implications be? I'm not denying his, I don't even know how to put it. I don't want to say patriotism towards Ukraine when he's actually Russian. And he lived in Russia until he was 15. And his parents are Russians, and they live in Russia. And his father was in the military as well. And he graduated from Moscow. I mean, how many fucking hints do you need? How many do you need? Now, would the Russians put work the Ukrainians so hard right now as to have him in charge of their military. I mean, it would be too obvious, don't you think? It would be too obvious. You don't want to expose yourself. You should have let Zaluzny there and this guy behind fuck his orders up. Like skew them. So what could this be? Now let me tell you about the Romanians. When it was communism was imposed in Romania by the Soviets, but the foreigners in Soviet Union, not Russians, foreigners in Soviet Union, they imposed it with the agreement, in an agreement with the free world, which is criminal. I would give you an example. Let's say you're a parent, let's say you're the Western country, and you have a child, a daughter, and the daughter is, let's say, 14 years old, and you allow the daughter to go and babysit at some neighbor's or relative's house, and over there's a pedo, a guy who does all kind of stuff like that, and he tries to get your child. Then the child comes to you one day and tells you that he tried to sexually molest her. Would you, as a responsible parent, send your child, 14-year-old girl, as a mother or a father to that house again? What would you do? I tell you what I would do. I will report it to the police, and I'm going to fuck that guy up, depending on how far he went. I mean, if we're just trying to say certain things, I will warn him. I will fuck him up. And I will call the police. Yeah, that's a threat. Okay? So, and let the police straighten things out. That's the first one. But I will never, ever, ever allow that child of mine to go to that house again. Correct? Correct. If I do, what would you call me? Criminal? Abuse? Threaten harm? Whatever you want. Improper supervision? However you want to call it. So it is. Now, I know people who did that, and they are good parents. No, they're not good parents. So the same thing, the Westerns, the Americans, allowed the Soviets, the criminals, remember Stalin was in charge after the Second World War, allowed these countries to be swallowed by a criminal, by the pedo. You allow Romania, you allow Poland, you allow Czechoslovakia, you allow Bulgaria, you allow these countries to be swallowed in that Eastern Germany, the Baltic states, I'm not talking about them. So how would you call the Western nations, which was the United States of America? Great Britain was bankrupt. They were just, what's his name? Churchill was just invited because he looked good, that's all. And they had, 2 votes to 1, that's it. The French were not even invited. So what do you think? So they have 2 votes against Stalin. And Stalin fucked those weasels in a second. Why? Because Stalin was a real criminal. The other guys, there were wannabes. Because they were dealing with civilized people. But the other guys was dealing with real life. That's why Stalin, in any conversation with Roosevelt and, what's his name? Churchill. And then with Harry Truman and Churchill, fucked them up. Churchill had a good sense of who Stalin was. The other guys were dumbasses, all right? But Churchill did not have power. Why? Because he was at that point second-class power. He was bankrupt, that guy. And then he fucked up the whole empire, that guy. But he won against Hitler. Anyway, so go back to this one, all right? So when the Romanians, after they got taken by the foreign Soviets, a lot of people who were cooperating with the Soviets, with the communists, were educated in Lomonosov. They were sent to Moscow, to military institutions, political institutions, and they were coming back usually with Russian wives, which were GRU, where it was like KGB in the military, or KGB agents. And they were coming themselves, already KGB agents, here. They were basically those people. And they were promoted here because it was under the Soviet occupation after 1945, 44 actually. They were right there. So here this guy, you're telling me that he started in Moscow, and then he was Russian born. His father was also in the military. His family is in Russia, and he fights for Ukraine against Russia? And remember, he had to swear allegiance to the Ukrainian flag. I'm not saying it's impossible, but don't you think it's very highly unlikely? I'm not saying it's impossible, but now, do you think these guys made a mistake? Do you think these guys say, well, we're going to put this guy who's obviously Russian with everything I told you, so many red lights right there? People who were returning, the Romanians or whomever they were, returning to Romania after they started in Moscow, they knew that these guys were those guys' people. Some of them are still alive. One of them is Iliescu. Ion Iliescu was the first president, Romanian president, after Ceausescu was killed like a dog from the orders of the same good people. Right? Like a dog. Why? On the 25th of December. So the Romanians killed their Romanian guy, good or bad. What that trial that was held was garbage. It was not trial. There was an order. He needed to be. And anyway, who gave the order on the 25th, on the birth of our Savior? And we did it. They did it, and we were like applauding. Yeah. Fucking retards. That's how it was. And then we knew Iliescu is still alive. He went over there, he came back, and no, he didn't have anything to do with the GRU, and didn't have anything with that. The General Militaro, another garbage, who again was... Anyway, let's go back to this guy. Now what could be? Could it be that these guys took over? Zelensky is a sitting duck? Or a sitting Avanagila? That's what he is? That's it? We'll see how the war progresses from here. If it's gonna be maybe an initial success, and then we'll see how these guys vote here and how much help they will get. Remember, it doesn't mean that Syrskyi is in charge. But why would you put Syrskyi? Syrskyi was put over there to be loyal to someone. Who's that someone? The Ukrainian people or Zelensky Stein and his group? Or who knows? Maybe Zelensky Stein is promoted by a different group because he's clearly the American boy. And remember, Klitschko, I think, is the German boy. When Zaluzny was released, okay, Klitschko said, oh my God, I hope that these guys come with the justification. Why? Because he was thinking he would be next. And I think he will be next if he doesn't keep his mouth shut. That's the way it goes. We'll see how Syrskyi performs. I suspect there's going to be a little, at the beginning, a lot of people will be like me, paying attention. It's going to have a little success, and then probably it's going to be, and hey, this is a situation, we're done. Remember, when you are working for someone else, first you don't want to draw attention, okay? And then if things like, oh, who's the traitor here, you want to overdo it like you're the most patriotic guy. Like, for instance, Dmitry Medvedev right now. He, out of a nice guy, he turned into being the devil. Is it because he was activated and you have to play this role? Or because he's, hey, I'm the most Russian out of everybody here. Don't look at me, man, look at those guys. And he's on the payroll of the other guys. Well, time will tell. I wouldn't be surprised if I see Medvedev arrested, or maybe have a crash, accident or something, or a heart attack or mini stroke. All right, my friends, we'll find out. I think it's going to be an initial success of Syrskyi. The newspapers will promote him and then go down, and he's going to say, well, what can we do? That's the end of it. So the Russians took over differently, through the back door. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.